What's going on, everybody? So, I had a video out last week on the carry laws here in PA. That was part one of it, basically. I said I was going to do part two, so let's see if we can finish this up in one more video, and it won't be 30 minutes long like the last one, but I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. So we'll go over the rest of the laws for carry here real quick. Again, I would like to put out the little disclaimer. I am not a lawyer. Please do not take any of this as actual legal advice. I am just a guy on the internet. That is a horrible place to try and get legal advice from. I have discussed this over the years many times online and in person with people. I have a pretty good understanding of the way that the laws work here in PA. I've lived here my whole life, over 4 decades now. So I've had it down pretty well, but I'm not a lawyer. You can't take any of my advice as actual legal advice. In fact, I wouldn't take half of what I said as even good advice, really. I give shitty advice all the time. So, all right, that out of the way, we'll start again here. So, last week, we were unpacking 6106. Title 18 of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, Chapter 61. Statute number 6106, which is firearms carried without a license. If you can remember, we went back and we defined what you need a license for to carry concealed on one's person or to carry in a vehicle. And then at the end, it gives exceptions for it. And we listed a whole bunch of those. So go back and watch the first video if you're looking for those exceptions. And we stopped, if I remember correctly, at any person while carrying a firearm which is not loaded. Okay. So we stopped at transporting without the carry permit in your vehicle. There's a couple other exceptions I didn't get into, because it's not really pertinent to the rally and everything, but there were exceptions on there that there are other ways to do it. So another way to carry a firearm is person's license to hunt, take fur bearers, or fish in the Commonwealth if such persons are actually hunting, taking fur bearers, so trapping is what taking fur bearers means, or fishing, as permitted by those such licenses. So you have to have a hunting permit, a trapping permit, or a fishing license. They desire to hunt. I lost my place. Where they desire to hunt, take fur bearers, or fish, or returning from such places. So you can take a firearm. Say you wanted to hunt with a handgun, something like this. You could take this handgun out into the field to hunt with, legally transport it there, legally carry it on your person, or take it back to your house after you're done hunting. That's what that exception is for. But you have to be licensed to hunt. You can also carry a gun while fishing or trapping, for those same reasons, to and from the places where you're fishing and trapping. So you're covered on those. And you don't need the license to carry for that specifically, but I would probably have it anyway. It just makes it easier. Any person, we'll go to the next one, I'm sorry. Not trying to rush through this too much, but we can try that. Where were we at? Oh, persons training dogs, if such persons are actually training dogs during the regular training session. So basically, this is for people training hunting dogs. If you're training your hunting dog, you can have a firearm on you. Basically, if you're taking your dog out into the field, you can have a firearm on you to train them for hunting purposes, is where that comes from. Any person while carrying a firearm in any vehicle which is lawfully issued, license for that firearm has been issued under the laws of the United States or any other state. So this is a goofy one. We can get into this right now, but there was a case in PA that changed this law through case law not that long ago. It was the McCowan case. So it used to be, if you had a permit from any state, it didn't even have to be a PA permit, and any person could could carry in their vehicle, keep the gun in their vehicle, and then transport it anywhere as long as you had a permit from any state. Then you could get out and open carry afterwards. It doesn't cover you for concealed carry, just transporting your vehicle. Now, in the McCowan case was kind of a loss for gun rights in this, because somehow the judge in McCowan case ruled that any person while carrying a firearm in any vehicle, that any person doesn't include PA state residents. So, since that ruling, if you are a resident of the state of PA, you have to have a license to carry in PA for this to apply to you. If you're a resident of any other state, you just have to have a permit from any state. So say you are a Maryland resident. It's hard to get a Maryland permit. A lot of those people used to get Maine permits because you could apply for a permit, a non-resident Maine permit. Then you could bring your gun up to PA in the car, and you could open carry once you were here. That's how that one used to work. The reason that case was, it doesn't affect a lot of people in this state, but the McCowan case, that decision hurt a lot of people in like Philadelphia County, where it can be difficult to get a license to carry. It used to be more difficult. They used to put all kinds of extraneous stuff on it, and they've been sued numerous times now. So people would get a non-resident permit from a state where you could get one, and then just open carry when they left, after they left Philadelphia. So a lot of guys used to use it that way. As it stands right now, though, PA residents have to have a PA permit. It doesn't apply, and that's thanks to a court decision. What do we got here? Next one would be any person who is otherwise eligible to possess a firearm under this chapter and who is operating a motor vehicle which is registered in the person's name or the name of a spouse or parent in which contains a firearm for which a valid license has been issued pursuant to Section 6109, which was our licensing, to the spouse or parent owning the firearm. Unpack that real quick. Real simple, this is to cover your wife or husband, whichever, or your child, an older child that might borrow your vehicle. So if you loaned them their vehicle, or they took your vehicle and you left a gun in the glove box or in the center console, or something like that, and they were to get pulled over, they're not going to be arrested for having your firearm in there because it was your vehicle. It's just kind of, it's a cover your butt, kind of cover your ass, however you want to say it, law for people like that, so that they don't get tied up horribly for, being a felon because you left a gun in the car and they borrowed your vehicle. Any person, or a person, lawfully engaged in interstate transportation of firearms. So basically this is just saying we follow FOPA, Firearm Owners Protection Act, which is the federal law. It's the same thing. State provides receivable privilege for any person who possesses a valid and lawfully issued license or permit to carry a firearm which has been issued under the laws of another state, regardless of whether we have a reciprocity agreement exists between the Commonwealth and that state. The state provides reciprocal privilege for individuals licensed to carry firearms under that. So this is our reciprocity. So if we have reciprocal agreements for carry, if you recognize our permit, we recognize your permit. The Attorney General has determined that the firearm laws of that state are similar to the firearm laws of the Commonwealth. So in order for us to recognize your permit, your laws have to be similar to our laws. Most states' laws are similar to our laws, or more restrictive. A couple states now, when this was written, they were all similar and more restrictive. Now you have states of constitutional carry. It's about the only way you're going to get less restrictive than the PA license laws. And then it's going to go into a whole section about the sportsman's firearms permit. We'll get into that at a later time. That's kind of a hunting dog training privilege permit or permit that you can get. It only covers you for very specific things, so it doesn't really involve concealed carry very much. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next subchapter, which is 6107. This is what was confusing people about the whole state of emergency thing. This is what we had some confusion at the Pittsburgh rally, the latest rally we had. The governor has come out and said that evidently this does not affect guns, but the statute here says it affects guns, and it always has under a state of emergency. So let's look at this one here, because this is what was tripping people up and why people got confused about open carry during a state of emergency, since we are under a declared state of emergency. Our lovely governor thinks the opioid crisis is a state of emergency in this state, so he declared a state of emergency, which is screwing up firearms laws. Now, I don't know if that was intentional. It's probably more of a money thing, but it does cause a problem. So this law here is prohibited conduct during an emergency, Statute 6107, Title 18, Chapter 61. No person shall carry a firearm upon the public streets or upon any public property during an emergency proclaimed by a state or municipal government executive, unless that person is, 1, actively engaged in a defense of that person's life or property from peril or threat. So basically, if somebody's attacking you, you can have a gun out. I don't understand how you would have a gun on the public streets and public property. I guess this is if there's looters around and you come out of your house with a gun, they won't immediately arrest you. I'm guessing if there's looters around, there won't be any cops around to arrest you either, but it's part of the statute. Or the second part, license to carry firearms under Section 6109 relating to licenses, or is exempt from licensing under 6106. It's all those exemptions we just read relating to firearms not to be carried without a license. So unless you have a license to carry or are exempt under one of the exemptions we read, you cannot carry in the state of PA without a license. You cannot carry in PA without a license unless you meet those exemptions. So what were the exemptions? Well, start at video 1 in the first half of this video, and those are all the exemptions. We pretty much covered them all. But that's what this is saying. So it's jamming some people up here that don't have a license. I don't know how many people actually carry in PA without a license. It's kind of difficult, as you've seen, to actually carry in PA without a license, unless you stay on foot the whole time or you're going to or from one of the exempted places. Out-of-state people have a little bit easier time. In-state people, it's a little different. So actually getting around places with your gun is kind of a problem unless you're going to be on foot all the time. And most of your major places where you'd be on foot all the time, like Philadelphia, you can anyway because you need a license to even open carry there. So I don't know how many people this actually affects, but it is there and it is in effect. So it is something to think about. There's also a section here, seizure, taking, and confiscating, except as otherwise provided under subsection. Chapter 73. Okay, that's the whole different chapter we're in there. No firearm, okay, or any other provision of the law to the contrary. So this is some other stuff. Basically, unless you are, except as otherwise provided under subsection A. And notwithstanding. Okay, so subsection A was what we just read. So, unless you're exempt under that, or Chapter 73:35, which I'm trying to think what that is off the top of my head. It's something to do with confiscation of property. I'll have to go back and reread it, but it's just giving you another exception here. Or any other provision of law to the contrary, no firearm, accessory, or ammunition may be seized, taken, confiscated during an emergency unless the seizure, taking, or confiscation would be authorized absent the emergency. So what this is saying is they are not allowed to seize your firearms just because there's an emergency. So if you remember, everybody talks about after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and they seized people's guns. That would actually be against the law on a state level here in PA, because they're not allowed to take your guns just because of the state of emergency. You would have to be, say, adjudicated mentally ill or mentally defective, I believe is how they read it in the state, to get your guns confiscated from you. Or you would have to be convicted of a felony for them to confiscate your guns from you. Something along those lines. They can't just say, there was a flood or there was a fire or something, we're taking your guns from you because we're under an emergency right now. So, and I think that's where we'll end it for right now. There is some other stuff I'll go through, maybe some definitions. I'll do a third video on like definitions, because this is getting kind of long again. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Well, I don't know if you enjoyed this, but I hope you get some information out of this. For the guys coming to future rallies and just people in PA that are curious, we're just going through like 3 or 4 sections pertaining to carry. There's a whole myriad of gun laws in the state. Excuse me. Just like all the other states pertaining to sale of firearms, who you can sell, who you can't sell, licensing of gun dealers, all that stuff. So maybe I'll do a definitions video and try and get it out a little bit later this week, which will help maybe with some of this. You can kind of cross-reference it. And maybe I'll get into some other laws after this here. That's most of what you're going to have to worry about carrying here in PA. I'll cover some other stuff maybe in some future videos like this if people like them. If you want me to keep doing them, let me know. Easiest way, let me know down in the comment section if you like this kind of stuff. I'll keep doing them. Again, though, remember, this is not legal advice. I'm just some dumb guy on the internet. So you get what you pay for if you're going to try and use my advice in a court of law, which was absolutely zero. So you're not going to get dick out of it. So if you want to get really good legal advice, hire a lawyer. That's why you pay them a lot of money. That's who you should be going to for really good lawyer, legal counsel advice. Don't take some guy on the internet as legal advice. Don't take your local police as legal advice. Definitely don't take some gun shop employee or some guy in the gun shop as legal advice. Call a lawyer if you need legal advice. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Again, let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll try and work on maybe another one of these. So thank you all. I will talk to you all later. Have a good